Now, Carroll Quigley wrote two books. One was called The Anglo-American Establishment, and another one, a big work, was called Tragedy and Hope, in which he exposed this from the inside, because he agreed with what they were doing. And as he pointed out in his books, their goal was the centralization of global power with a world government. He agreed with it. He just thought the public ought to know it was going on. This is what he wrote in one of his books, The Anglo-American Establishment. The picture is terrifying because such power, whatever the goals at which it may be directed, is too much to be entrusted safely in any group. No country that values safety should allow what the Milner Group, this is Alfred Milner, Lord Milner, who took over from Rhodes as its head, and sometimes it's called the Milner Group. The Milner Group accomplished, that is, that a small number of men would be able to wield such power in administration and politics, should be given almost complete control over the publication of documents relating to their actions, should be able to exercise such influence over the avenues of information that create public opinion, and should be able to monopolize so completely the writing and teaching of the history of their own period. And he goes on to explain how they were behind the major events of the 20th century, including the two world wars. So that is one of the key networks within this structure. And there's the Trilateral Commission, a co-creator, now behind Barack Obama. All that stuff will become relevant to this election as we go along. Well, I think one of the, if I've made any contribution to this, then one of the things that I'm most proud of is to have come up with the phrase problem, reaction, solution to describe the most used and the most powerful method of mass mind and emotional manipulation that has been used on us to advance this agenda. It used to be called the Hegelian dialectic. And I thought problem, reaction, solution would sum it up more succinctly. What it means is that you want to change society in a way that if you did it openly and had a meeting and said, right, well, tell the public this is what we're going to do, you know that you would get a massive public reaction against what you want. So you don't do it openly. You play this technique. Stage one, you create a problem. It could be a terrorist attack, it could be a war, it could be a government collapse, it could be a run on a currency, it could be a credit crunch, rising food prices, rising mortgages. Anything that will give you the opportunity to install the solution to that problem that will advance your agenda. Once you've covertly created the problem, you then tell the people through a pathetic mainstream media the version of that problem that you want the public to believe, i.e. Bin Laden orchestrated 9/11, Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy, whatever. If we had a journalistic profession, even just in any way justifying the name, problem, reaction, solution fall down, because the explanation would be investigated, it would be fined to be wanting, it would be reported to the people, this would collapse. Because we don't have a journalistic profession worthy of the name, the problem's created, the cover story of the problem is then reported to the people as official history, uninvestigated, and what they're looking for at stage two is a reaction from the public that says, in effect, something must be done, what are they going to do about it? Fear, outrage, do something. And then those who've covertly created the problem, got the public reaction, do something, then openly, through changes in legislation, offer the solutions to the problems they have themselves covertly created. And what are those solutions? They are changes in society to advance the Orwellian Big Brother state and the centrally controlled global agenda. At the 33rd level of Freemasonry, of the Scottish Rite, that's the highest official level, they have a motto, Ordo ab chaos, order out of chaos. Problem, reaction, solution. You try manipulating harmony, very difficult. You try manipulating chaos, piece of cake. They want chaos. You see, through problem, reaction, solution, we need to switch our minds a bit here. Because of problem, reaction, solution, they don't want crime figures to come down. Because if they do, they can't offer the solutions to the crime figures, which is more control. They want people knifed in the street. They want problems with food because then they can offer the solution of genetically modified food, which they're doing, this government now, even though the people have rejected it overwhelmingly. They want the problems. They have to have them or they can't offer the solutions. This is what Bush said after 9/11. You're free and freedom is beautiful, and you know it'll take time to restore chaos and order out of chaos, but we will. Problem, reaction, solution. This is the Second World War. If you look at the First World War, after it was over, global power was in dramatically fewer hands than it was when that war started. Nothing changes a society globally or locally like a war. After the Second World War, it was in even fewer hands, and we had the creation of the United Nations, we had the Bretton Woods Agreement, we had the IMF, we had the World Bank came after it. And what they did, these bloodlines, these shadow people at the top of these pyramids, they were behind the British government and the American government of Roosevelt. They were behind Stalin, who was one of their front men. Remember the thing, both sides. And they funded the Nazi party into power, and they funded their war machine. In this book, written, 15-odd years ago, I exposed President Bush's grandfather, Prescott Bush, as a funder of Hitler and the Rockefellers. The Rockefellers paid for a whole floor of a German university for a guy called Ernst Rudin, who was Hitler's race purity expert. The Rockefellers. And the Rockefellers are behind all these organizations that I'm talking about. Now, Prescott Bush was a leading figure in an organization called the Union Banking Corporation, which was one of the Harriman operations in America. It interfaced with the European steel and banking empire of a guy called Fritz Thyssen, who was an acknowledged funder of Hitler, and funded through to Thyssen vast amounts of money. This is Prescott Bush, the president's grandfather, to fund Hitler. How did they go from the Weimar Republic, when they were taking their wages home in wheelbarrows, such was the inflation, to a war machine that could take on Europe? Because of this. And after I came out with it, a few years passed, and then a guy who's I think he's the president of the Holocaust Museum in Florida, he came out publicly in America and said the Bush family fortune overwhelmingly comes from funding the Nazis, and even the Guardian newspaper, hello, hey, all right, nice you caught up, in the last year or two has run stories about Prescott Bush funding the Nazis. And what they were doing was creating the two sides to bring into conflict 55 million casualties, by the way, into a conflict in a war, which has led to the change in the global state. That's how it's done. This is what a Nazi said this. I wonder if we'll kind of recognize this from the last few years. Why, of course, the people don't want war. Why should some poor slob on a farm want to risk his life in a war when the best he can get out of it is to come back to his farm in one piece? Naturally, the common people don't want war, neither in Russia, nor in England, nor for that matter in Germany. That is understood. But after all, it is the leaders of the country who determine the policy, and it is always a simple matter to drag the people along, whether it is a democracy or a fascist dictatorship. Voice or no voice, the people can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. That is easy. All you have to do is tell them they are being attacked and denounce the peacemakers for their lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same in any country. Hermann Goering. Abraham Lincoln said, public sentiment is everything. Without public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. He who molds opinion is greater than he who enacts the laws. And he could say, he who molds opinion can then enact any laws he wants. Problem, reaction, solution.